Hello everyone, my name is Jordan, also known as X-3. Today I want to teach you guys how to create this Wobblet bass. Now the Wobblet bass is for a lot of low-end lovers who love a lot of wobbling bass subs to hit their dance floor. So I decided to make one of these synths since I don't hear it around a lot too often. Mainly because a lot of the low end is very hard to control. However, I love it for this sound. So take a listen to this demo example I've put together for today. And yeah, I want to show you on how to create the first Wobblet bass. So here it is in action. Okay, so in order to create the Wobblet bass, we need a blank instance of our combinator and a blank instance of Thor. For the first thing I'm going to modify on Thor is to change the range. Now watch what happens when I change the range and use the pitch bend on this sound. It goes up pretty high, but watch what happens when I take this to 24 and then pitch it up. You have a higher octave range when you use the pitch wheel and the range. The mod wheel can be done the same way. So other than that, I'm going to basically do a little bit of routing. The first thing that I'm going to use are my oscillators. And one of the coolest things about a synth is pretty much the oscillators next to some of the voltage control, but that's more on analog. For now, we're going to take up this square wave and make sure it's at 64. We want it to be an actual square wave, not a pulse width on the left or the right of this module knob, but anyways, take it up 2 octaves. And you want to take your frequency all the way down and your drive somewhere around 80. You can barely hear it, but turn up your sustain and decay up all the way on your amp. And we can still barely hear it, but don't worry, this will change once we add our oscillators 2 and 3. They're both analog. The second analog oscillator is I'm going to take this down 1 octave and leave it on a saw. The third analog oscillator, we're going to take it down 2 octaves. Well, actually 3, and I'm going to set this to a sine wave so that way we get more sub. Now if I add 2 and 3, we start to get more of a lower end, but I'm actually going to turn down the master volume by somewhere around 6 decibels is good. There we go. And next, in order to get this more wobbling, I'm going to take my envelope filter all the way down on my first filter. And what I'm going to do next is turn on my LFO 1, turn it on key sync, tempo sync, and set the rate to about 1/8, or if you want it to be much faster, 1/16. But I like 1/8 better. Turn up your keyboard follow. This will track all the key pitches and play the sub at either a higher rate if your key is higher, or a lower rate if your key is on the lower range of the octave. So other than this, I'm going to turn on my sources, and for my first source, I'm going to choose LFO 1. The amount is going to be 100, and the destination is going to be our filter 1 frequency. I'm going to turn up my resonance on my filter 1 up to probably around 43. And if you want to do this, it's totally optional, but I can route filter oscillator 3, 17 for the amount, or 18 should be fine, but oscillator 1 filter frequency. We start to get more of a wibble wobble, and that's why I call this Wobblet, is because it doesn't have a lot of mid, but it has a lot of low freaky stuff. What I found is by turning on a delay and the tempo sync, we can actually get more of a dub delay. So I'm going to take the delay time down to 2/16, and for the dry wet, I'm going to turn that up half. It's kind of more of an ARP. Like if I turn up the filter frequency halfway, you should notice the difference. Very cool. So I'm going to fade out and show you guys how to create the second synth. Alright guys, so this is known as Bizarro Banana Man. He is a little bit of a very disturbed growl, but I use him more as a percussion rather than a synth chord. So have a listen to him in this demo example. Okay, to really get more of that kind of mouth growl, stab, I'm not sure what to call it, but to get more of that sound, you actually need to create a Maleströme. So right click, create a new combinator. Now if you don't have this first combinator, that's okay. This is just a continuation from the first video. So I'm going to throw in Maleströme, make sure it's initialized. I'm going to go over to my mod wheel. Then I'm going to go over to oscillator A and my mod A and mod B. We don't mess with oscillator B, it's just not used. So other than that, I'm going to take on my mod wheel, my shift all the way down. So we can get some nice tuning in with this. So my first oscillator is going to be a sine. And I want to turn up the shift. I also take it down 1 octave, and I make sure it's routed to shaper, but I make sure all of these buttons are turned on. I'm going to turn on my shaper, and I'm going to set the sine amount of this sound to 97, so almost all the way up. I'm going to set my filter rate, or actually my filter A, to a negative or a positive comb filter. I'm going to make sure it's on keyboard follow. I'm going to take the filter frequency around, this is actually kind of specific, 13. I'm also going to turn up my resonance to 20 to give it some more higher. So we can hear it better. On my mod A, I'm going to basically turn up my rate full blast, and same thing for my pitch, and same thing for my shift. And I'm going to take this to a curve 2. That sounds pretty crazy, right? But we're not done. For mod B, we're going to set the rate on a synced rate. So I'm going to turn it on sync, and I want to take it to curve 2. And for the rate, I'm going to set it to 1/8. And then what I'm going to do to adjust this crazy mess is turn up my filter up all the way, or actually the volume up all the way on my mod B, and make sure it's routed to modular A. This is where we can get more of the Snails type of sound, and I think it's pretty cool for this effect. The other thing that I'm going to do is basically tidy it up. In order to give it to sound a little bit better, I'm going to throw on a RV7000 advanced reverb. I'm going to take this advanced reverb on a journey to finding the perfect patch for this sound. So I'm going to take it all the way to my I think it's all CL haul, long haul should work perfect for this. I'm going to take the dry wet to about 1/4, and the decay I want to leave it where it is. I'm going to then compress it with a pulverizer. by turning up the squash to somewhere around 8% and the dirt, turn that about a quarter. We're not done. We need to turn up our Scream 4 once we add it. I'm going to set the type to tape because we don't want too much distortion. It's already pretty crazy enough as is. I want to take P2 all the way to 88. I want to turn on my cut. Give the low a little bit of negativity, -13. Turn on your body. This is what gives your synth a little bit more characteristic and mouthiness. So for the body, turn it on, turn up your scale to 82, and turn up your auto to about 15 or 12, and set it to type C. So now we have a little bit more mouth, but we need to completely kill off the low end. So I want to throw on an M-class equalizer, turn it on low cut. For low shelf, I'm going to keep it where it is and just turn the gain and the Q, well, the gain all the way down and the Q all the way down. So for P1, I'm basically going to try and eliminate more of this low end. So I want to take it somewhere around 126, throw the gain all the way down and the Q all the way down as well. But in order to give this synth a little bit more rising, I'm going to throw up the Q to probably around a quarter, 1.9, instead of all the way down. Next, all you need to do is throw on a maximizer, take it off limiter, put it on soft clip, and set the amount for the soft clip on full. So there you guys have created Bizarro Banana Man. I'm going to fade out and we're going to do the final synth of Triple Threat Thursday. Okay, so the last synth I'm going to show you for Triple Threat Thursday is known as Black and White Game Boy. Black and White Game Boy is perfect if you're trying to get those classic chip tunes. So have a listen of it in action and then we'll get to making this. Okay, for the Black and White Game Boy synth, we're actually going to basically be using a very small section of sounds. So right click and create your combinator. Inside this combinator, create a blank instance of Maleströme. So for Maleströme, I'm going to go over to my mod wheel and then I'm going to go on to my oscillator B instead of oscillator A. So take this off, turn this on, and then I want to go on out throughout the synth and teach you guys more of it. So what I'm going to do for my first instance is that I'm going to set my index all the way up to 24. I'm then going to take my shift all the way down to the negative region. Okay, so for my second oscillator, I'm going to set this instead of a sine to a square. So you want to go down for that one. You want to take your motion all the way down and you want to take your octaves all the way down as well. And you want to turn up your shift to about 12. Very uninspiring, but we're going to change how it sounds once we route it to filter B. I'm going to turn on all my routings up here and I'm going to route filter B, but actually I want to take it off and I want to route it to shaper. Make sure shaper is turned on, and for the amount of the sine wave, we're going to take this to 38. Or 37 should be fine, and you want to take off your filter. Next, for your mod A, turn up your pitch up all the way, turn up your rate, up all the way, and the pitch up all the way, and the same thing for the shift. Make sure it's on curve 2. Next, for mod B, we're going to turn up the rate just a little bit, turn it on sync, so make sure it's at 2.4, throw up your volume and your filter all the way, and make sure it's set to number A, so that way it modifies your mod A. But we're not quite done. We're going to set this all the way to curve 17. And there you guys have your pretty much Game Boy synth. In order to tidy this up, all you need to do is throw on a maximizer, put up your input somewhere around 6 decibels, turn on your soft clip, and take the amount to full. And there you guys have created your Game Boy black and white synth, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Info Friday on some of the newest synths, patches, loops, and you name it, if it includes music. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, and I'm sorry about the late video, but the buses don't seem to come every 20 minutes, but more like every hour and a half. So other than that, I hope you guys have a better day, and yeah, stay awesome, stay peaceful, and stay true to yourself. Other than that, thanks for watching, and be safe. Peace. I want to say thank you guys for following me. This video is going to be posted a little bit late. The reason for this is simply because the car broke down, and I'm going to work right now. And after this, I'll post your guys' video. Thanks for hanging in there, and I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good one, and peace.